for inaugurating a new endowment series in memory of Srinivasan Krishnaswamy, about whom I have read a little bit when I was a school student and also when I was in college by some police officials, the book written by some police officials. One I very well remember, it is on the dogs, titled Thuppariyum Naigal. So he had written the foreword for that book, published by Lifco. And other police officials who used to come here. So they used to share some of their experiences. And one such person is Mr. Ramanathan, who was DSP, who had actually worked under our Dr. Raghavan here. And he has mentioned in his memoirs about Sri Krishnaswamy sir also. And Sri Natesan, I understand, is the grandfather of Sri Krishnaswamy, who was a very eminent traditional scholar, especially in the study of MīmāMSā, PūRVA MީMާMSΑ, and he had taught MīmāMSā to Mahapariva of Kanchi. And in fact, Kanchi Mahapariva used to call him Madat Natesha Sharma, because there were two Natesh Sharmas, I am told, those days. So he should have been very proficient in PūRVA MީMāMSA. And Sri Krishnaswamy's daughter, Dr. Uma Krishnaswamy, had instituted this endowment at the Kuppuswami Sastri Research Institute for twin purposes. One, to conduct annual lecture in memory of our father, which will be essentially in PūRVA MީMāMSA or Uttara MīMāMSA, that is Vedanta. And the other part of the corpus will be used to give scholarship to a PhD candidate who pursues his or her study here in either PūRVA MީMāMSA or Vedanta. In case we don't have any, we will be publishing some rare MīmāMSA books from the interest that accrues from the corpus of this endowment. We are thankful to you, Madam. Please honor Dr. Uma Krishnaswamy. We are thankful to you, Madam, on this occasion. All these activities, we have been conducting a lot of lectures, periodical lectures, almost every week we are conducting lecture in collaboration with the Sanskrit Academy. And we are also holding a lot of seminars and conferences. If any of you is interested in participating, kindly let us know. We will be sending you the invitation. And we have also been publishing many books pertaining to Sanskrit and Indian knowledge system, as is the trend now set forward by the Government of India. And also we are affiliated to the University of Madras for PhD, now that MPhil has been removed from the curriculum in Sanskrit. So we have produced around 100 MPhil and PhDs so far on different aspects of Sanskrit literature, including arts and science. And a special word about this book is, what we are going to release today is, Dr. VAISHNAVI POORNA has given some, provided some QR code in the book. If anyone scans that, can make use of the library in a better way, which will be ready, I think, within a month's time. And I heartily welcome all of you once again. And we are also thankful to the donor of this book, Sri Vijayagopal Veeraraghavan. In fact, he gave us financial assistance, under which we have already published one book on Pancharatra Agama called Sesha Samhita, and another book, Vishnu Tilaka Samhita, will be published soon with the financial assistance provided by him. This particular book, he gave financial assistance in memory of his wife, who did PhD in this subject, and unfortunately she passed away after getting her degree. So in her memory, he wanted us to publish this book, and we are grateful to you, sir, and we would request you to support us in our activities. Thank you so much. Now, before we start the other proceedings, I request our President Dr. RK.Raghavan sir to release the book, Music and Sanskrit Literature. Dr. KSRI will receive the first copy. I request our President to give another copy to our donor, Sri Vijayagopal sir. Now I request Dr. VAISHNAVI POORNA to come over to receive one copy, and as a token of appreciation, a small honorarium on behalf of our research institute, with the blessings of our President. And before we start the endowment lecture by Dr. KSRI, just a few words, because he is too great a scholar and he gets embarrassed if I go on talking about him. Many of us here are his students. Some of us are direct students, some of us still he is teaching us. He is an eminent international scholar. Many branches of Sanskrit literature, we used to call him working encyclopedia. And being the first lecture, we wanted him to talk on POORVA MީMާMSΑ. So he has chosen the topic, POORVA MީMާMSΑ, a tool of interpretation. We are thankful to him for readily accepting our request. And before Dr. KSRI gives his inaugural talk, I would request our President Sri RK.Raghavan sir to say a few words and bless us all on this occasion. Over to Dr. RK.Raghavan sir.
Atra upasthita vidvamsa chhatraha Samskrita bandava asmin subhasvasare sarve bhyo sapranam sanj anjali bandam swagatam vyaharami mahaidam pramodasthanam yat adyavayam madhya guru Krishnaswami Aryasya namni stapastyaha niyasyaya udgatna Samaye Pravartamanasya Pratama Upanyasaya Avasare Sammitaha Api Cha Anyataha Akladakaraha Visayaha Dr. VAISHNAVI POORNA Mahodhyaya Rachita Sanskrit and Music Literature Ityakasya Nutana Pustakasya Prakasanam Sahridaya Loka Parpanam Cha Bhavishyati. I'm extremely happy to be here on this historic occasion of the inauguration. He was as good as, he was my guru along with Mr. C.V. Narasimhan. I must compliment Uma for having thought of this endowment, and I'm sure this is going to be an annual feature which every Sanskrit lover will look forward to. And I must compliment Sita and Bala and Yamuna and everybody who is in this great institution for having supported the proposal when Uma came forward to institute this endowment lecture. I'm sure this is going to bring great honor, great exposure to this great institution, and I'm happy that Uma is also immensely pleased because she was keyed up for the occasion and it's a dream come true for her, and I'm happy that this has been made possible. I must thank Sita and Bala for having supported this proposal, and here we are today, and I must compliment Uma. I'm sure this will be the beginning of a long relationship between Uma and this institution, and thank you very much. Please stay on and listen to a lovely lecture by Dr. Srinivasan. Thank you very much.
Om Yasya Prasadat Mukopi Vavaduko Bhijayate Bhashya Bhavagya Vikhyataha Sadgurum Pranamamyaham Panditanam Cha Rajanam Sastre Ratnakaropamam Balapurvam Gurum Vande Subramanyabhidam Muda Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Apara Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekhara Gurum Tam Namami Mudanvaham. I salute everybody. Dr. RKMVC sir, President of KSRI, Dr. Sita Sundararaman, Secretary, KSRI and Sanskrit Academy, Dr. K.S. Balasubramanian, Director, KSRI, and Dr. Arunasundaram, Principal, Madras Sanskrit College, Dr. Dravid sir, other faculty members, and other eminent people who have assembled here for the inauguration of this first lecture under Natesan Krishnaswamy Endowment. I am very happy to have been invited to give this lecture. It is my privilege too, having studied under eminent scholars. And it is not only that. There is another fortune also. Today is Thai Kartigai, an important day for Lord Subramanya, and Kumarila Bhatta is considered to be an incarnation of Lord Subramanya. So, this lecture on POORVA MީMާMSާ being started on the day of Thai Kartigai itself is a very significant one, and that too is my fortune. So, with these things, with these few words, I start my talk. Vishuddha Jnana Dehaya Trivedi Divya Chachushe Shreyah Prapti Nimittaya Namas Somardha Darine Jaimini Sabara Kumarila Somanatha Parthasarthi Misramscha Tata Dikshita Kandadevadyan Numaha MīmāMSā Naya Pravartakan. MīmāMSā Sastre Tejobihi Visheshena Vijrumbite Vedartha Jnana Ratne Me Trishna Ativa Vijrumbate. So now Kumarila says, Mimamsa is Tejas. So when the Mimamsa Tejas is shining, Mimamsa Sastra Tejobihi Visheshena Ujvalite. When the Mimamsa Sastra Tejas is shining everywhere, my interest in Vedartha, because of Mimamsa, Vedartha is getting understood better. So, Vedartha Ratne me Trishna Ativa Vijrumbate. My desire to know more and more, just it becomes more and more, he says. And Mimamsahi, that is, he further says, Mimamsahi Sarva Sastragata, that is, Sucharita Misra in Kasika. Mimamsahi Sarva Sastragata Ajnana Sandeha Viparyaya Vyudasakshama Nyaya Nibandhanatmika. Mimamsa is capable of removing all the doubts, wrong knowledges pertaining to other Shastras also. That's what Sucharita Misra says in his Kasika. That is, and Mimamsa has developed over the years. In fact, Kumarila Bhatta says in Tantravartika, Mimamsa is not composed by one person in one time. It is generational effort. So many people have worked so many years, so many generations, and that has been formed. Nahi sushikshitopi ekaha eva yetavantam yukti kalapam upasamaharshtam kshamaha. One person could not have single-handedly collected all these points. These could have been developed over the, not years, over the generations by the efforts of so many people. When we read Mimamsa Sutras of Jaimini, we find so many people's views being quoted, so many views being discussed. So that itself shows how much of an effort should have gone. In fact, even within Veda, we find the word Mimamsante, Mimamsan Chakruhu, Saishanandasya Mimagumsa Bhavati Yuvasyat, like that. So the word Mimamsa is being used widely in Veda itself. There are different types of discussions. Say for example, when two people discuss, one asks question and another one answers. When it is in the form of a question answer, that is called Brahmodhya. So the question answer is called Brahmodhya. When a particular point is taken up, an important point is taken up, and the point when people join together and discuss and then try to find an answer or try to arrive at a conclusion, that is called Mimamsa. Say for example, a particular yaga, whether a particular ritual should be performed in that yaga or not, or sort of attitude, say for example, Atiratra Shodasinam Granati, Atiratre Shodasinam Granati. That is, whether a particular offering should be made, Shodasi is an offering. Offering with, it is called Shodasi Stotra. Whether such an offering should be made or not. So there is a discussion. Should it be there in a particular ritual or not? That is called Mimamsa. And Ananda, what is the innate Ananda? Ananda, is it innate or external? That is, do you get the pleasure derived from creature comforts which you obtain by paying money or by what is called getting things from outside, or whether the manifestation of your innate Ananda? That is a discussion. Saishanandasya Mimagumsa Bhavati, that is the word Mimamsa that is being used. And in all of us, we should be very familiar with the discussion. Who is the Brahmishta? That is in the Janaka Sabha, like that. So different sorts of discussions were taking place. Brahmodhya, that is Brahma Sabha, and then Mimamsa, like that. All these things were taking place. Now we are coming to Mimamsa. Mimamsa is basically a discussion in the form of Vadi Pradivadi, complainant, defendant, like that. And a small story I would like to quote. I have very frequently quoted this story. Those who have heard my talks may remember it. But still, I would like to recall it for the sake of understanding the value of Mimamsa. It is, let us assume that this story has happened in ancient days. A person was there. He had 10,000 rupees in his possession, but he had a very young son, minor son, not even minor, small child. But somehow or other he has fallen in his deathbed, and now he cannot give this money to the son because he is too small, he will not be able to protect it, and he may not understand the value of it also. And if you were to, in those days, banks and other things, even if the banks were there, the child, whether we don't know, can he be trusted with the past books and all those things, because others may take it away from him. So now what happened? The thing available, even if it is somewhere buried under the earth, that information also could not be passed on to him. So he gave it to his neighbor. Neighbor was a friendly one, trustworthy person, good person. He gave it to his neighbor and said, I am giving this 10,000 rupees to you. I have to give this to my son, but he being too young, I cannot give it to him. So when he becomes a major, when he becomes what is called capable of handling it, you give him whatever you want. Saying this, he passed away. And the boy doesn't know anything. And the boy has come of age, and the neighbor called him, your father at the time of death gave me 10,000 rupees and just asked me to give me whatever I want. I want to give you 1,000 rupees. He gave only 1,000. 9,000 he has taken. Maybe his commission. But now what happened? The boy went and reported to the local Munsif. This is what has happened. Munsif called him. Yes, whatever the boy did, whatever the boy said was true. Then the Munsif said, without batting his eyelid, give the 9,000 rupees to him. He said, even his father said, whatever I want, I have to give him only that. I want to give him only 1,000. Say, understand properly. The father said, whatever you want, give that. But you want to give him 1,000. So the 1,000 is object of to give, not whatever you want. So what you want is 9,000. So that is to be given to him. Now, this sort of understanding, a proper understanding of what? You may think it is cheating, or you may think it is overreaching, or you may think whatever it may be. But a proper understanding of it, how to interpret a sentence, how to interpret the intention, all these things become very important one. That becomes a proper thing, that becomes an important thing, that becomes a required thing. So, now I think we can understand the value of Mīmāmsā from this. That is, at least the boy should not be cheated, boy has to get his due, isn't it? Now, whether context is required or not, because in this case, the statement, the father said, whatever you want. So that is a simple statement. That statement the boy has said, the statement the neighbor also has accepted it. But we know, at least the father and all those things, these things we know. In many cases, we may not be able to know who said what to whom. We may have only the statements. The background we may not have at all. We may not know what exactly is the background. Say for example, I quote another statement. Dasaratha performed Godana for Rama. This is the statement. Dasaratha performed Godana for Rama. Now, when we just understand this particular statement, even if you see this statement as part and parcel of Ramayana, we can understand what exactly is Godana. We may not have any doubt at all. For the welfare for Rama's future welfare, Dasaratha might have performed Godana. That is, he might have donated a cow for somebody or donated a few cows to some deserving person. We might have understood like that. So, what should we take Godana? Godana is a samskara. Actually, it is first shaving. Godana is a samskara called first shaving. And whether, when the statement is made, Dasaratha performed Godana for Rama, should we understand it as what is called giving cows to deserving people for the welfare of Rama, or did he perform the first shave, whether Rama had come of age? Now Rama had go to Siddhasrama to what is called defend the sacrifice of the sages from the demons. So now, how to understand it, how to interpret it? So the context may be needed here. If it is context-like statement, sometimes we may misunderstand. Sometimes we may take it in our own way. we will not be able to say exactly what has been meant by that particular person who has written that particular statement. So sometimes we may require context, sometimes we may not. Sometimes it may not be available at all. Say we may need the context, but if the context is not available, then how to make it? How to understand it? Without context, we have to understand. In fact, I'm not entering into that, I'm not venturing into that. People might have, those who have read Derrida and other things, they might have said context is not very much given any importance to, that is given a bypass, that is not considered, and all those things. The things have to be seen context free like that also. But in some cases that may not work, in some cases it may work. Like that, the prakarana and the vivaksha become important things. We cannot totally bypass them. So, what exactly is? For this, 3 subjects have been developed as tools. Pada, Vakya, Pramana. Generally, it is called Pada, Vakya, Pramanajna. A scholar in ancient days, even in modern days, they are referred to as Pada, Vakya, Pramanajna. These are the tools of research, or tools of study, or tools for understanding. What is Pada? Pada refers to Vyakarana. Pramana refers to Nyaya, Tarka, and Vakya refers to Mimamsa. So Pada, by Pada, what does Pada do? Pada gives you the knowledge of Pada Sadhutva. What is the correct word in the given context for a given meaning? So Pada gives you the word, how to use a particular word, when to use that word, where to use the word, what exactly is the meaning of the word. For example, Panini has got Ashtadhyayi. In the Ashtadhyayi, 5th and what is called 3rd, 4th, 5th, these 3 deal with the Taddhita and other things. Now what happens? Taddhita means secondary derivative, that is deriving a word from another word. They are classes and idioms in Sanskrit. So they become classical Sanskrit, or they become the what is called chaste Sanskrit, how to use. So the Taddhita words are there. What exactly Taddhita words are, what are the Kridanta words, how are to be used, how are to be understood, they communicate exactly using proverbs, using what is called abhanakas. All these things are able to communicate exactly the idea. So the proper usages of words, proper usages of sentences, all these things become the domain of Vyakarana. And Dharma Dharmi Bhava, that is what is the characteristic of a subject, and that is matter and property and matter, as we say. So what exactly is the matter and what is its property, how the property is related. We say in Sanskrit Dravya and Guna, the relationship between Dravya and Guna, whether the Guna forms the natural property or whether it is an incidental property, all these things become characteristic of Tarka or Nyaya. And Mimamsa deals with Uddesya Videya Bhava. So when you take up a particular sentence, what does a sentence communicate? Always a sentence will have 2 elements, one known element and another unknown element. So both may be known words. We commit mistake, both of them are known or both of them are unknown. Exactly we have to understand what is the known element, what is the unknown element, and how the unknown element is predicated upon the known element. That becomes an important thing, and that becomes very, very important in the case of Mimamsa and in the case of legislative law. This Maxwell has written the principle of interpretation for the Western law, and Maxwell has written in the middle of the 19th century, and Kempe, he has come out with his 3rd volume, 3rd edition also, and further editions also have come. And these deal with how this can be interpretation. It is called literal principle interpretation. He also comes out with, as we have got many Mimamsa principles, in Maxwell also you can find many principles of interpretation. The first principle is literal principle, that is the sentence should be simple, short, straightforward. The same thing in Mimamsa also. And now, before proceeding further, what does Mimamsa, that is in the Uddesya Videya Bhava and other things we deal with, but these our people have recognized. The sphere and domain, I have referred to Vyakarana, Nyaya and Mimamsa. In fact, we can see it better in Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, there are, of course, there is what is called Ashtanga, that is 8 domains of Ayurveda, but 2 major fields are there. That is, one field is medicine and another field is surgery. The field of medicine is called Atreya, school of Atreya. Physicians are referred to Atreyas and surgeons are referred to Dhanvantriyas. And the Atreyas, the physicians, deal with certain disease. And when they say a surgeon has to deal with, they say, Atra Dhanvantriyanam Adhikaraha. This is the area, this is the jurisdiction of the surgeon, please go and consult a surgeon. I can deal with only this much, you can go and consult a surgeon. And the surgeon has done surgery and some post-operative care he has taken care of, but in future, that is further, it has to be the, what is called medicine result to be given. Atra Atreyanam Adhikaraha. Now it is the domain of physicians, please go to the physician. That is, I can give you only 1 tumbler of water if you take what is called Bel Puri. Second tumbler, you purchase the water from the next what is called waterman. I cannot give you water because the next man also has to survive. Like that, each one has got their own domain, their own jurisdiction, and they never entered. And Jayanta Bhatta says this better. The what is called pada knowledge, you can, the knowledge, the characteristic of the object, you can get it from Nyaya, but when you have to understand Vidhi, better consult Mimamsaka. They are the specialists. He says specifically in the Nyaya Manjari, he says it very specifically in the Nyaya Manjari that it is to be consulted in Mimamsa. Like that, they have got this sort of different, I mean, their own ideas they have. So they have never what is called entered into the domain of others. And now, Vyakarana, I said Vyakarana meaning also they have dealt with, etc. Some people may get a doubt, Vyakarana is only a Padasadhutva, meaning they have not. But if you consult Bhartragiri's Vakyapadiya, he gives a very important thing. When a word has got 2 or more meanings, how to decide the meaning, what exactly is the intention with which the speaker has spoken that word? Samyogo, Viprayogascha, Sagacharyam, Virodita. There are many, 14 characteristics he has stated, and the 15th Cheshta, etc. are to be added. After adding all these things, then he says, that is Samyogaha, Sasanka Chakro Harihi. The word Hari has got 14 meanings. When he said Harihi Shete, Hari is sleeping. What exactly is the meaning we have to take? Shashanka Chakro Harihi Shete. Hari sleeps with Shanka Chakra. And Shanka Chakra we always sleep, we refer to only with Vishnu. So when the word Shanka Chakra is with Vishnu, Hari must be Vishnu, it cannot be Indra, it cannot be somebody else. So other meanings are warded off. So this meaning can be specific. So in order to decide what exactly is the particular meaning, this sort of Sabdartasya Anavachede, in delimiting the particular meaning, these are the characteristics in human communication, and another one is some special communication. Special communication is the communication that the governing point may be spiritual governing, the governing point may be secular governing also, that is statutes. They can or statutes means legislative acts. So, when the legislative acts are there, we can think of with what intention this particular act could have been passed. There is a preamble. When every act is passed, before passing the act, why this act is discussed, why this act is passed, what is like that, the preamble is stated. So based on the preamble, some positions could be stated, the intention. but the intention cannot be taken into account. Only the literal construct will be taken into account. So now, when you take the speaker's intention, vivaksha, vaktum icha, with what intention he speaks, when the speaker's intention is taken into account, this is what Mimamsaka says, in the communicate. What the author seeks to communicate may be the area of Abhida or Gunibhuta Vyangya, but in the Dhvani, it is only the rasa, it is only the emotion, not mere intention. But in Veda, where the speakers, that's why we say it is apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means even if the speaker is there, even if you assume Ishvara is the author of Veda, we don't think of Ishvara's intention, we think only of what does Veda want to communicate. As we say, what does the statute try to communicate, not what must be the intention of it. Because every time we cannot try to understand the intention. So that's why it is called Shabdi Bhavana. That is what is sought to be communicated by the word themselves, not what sought to be communicated by the people who are writing it. So now you have got like this, the scope. The scope is divided, where Vivaksha plays a role, where Vivaksha does not play a role. And where Vivaksha does not play a role also, that is the interpretation of the statutes, there also common sense play a role. Always we cannot say the rules and regulations we are going by. Common sense always. We try to understand what can be the common sense. But when things develop, when things grow, common sense alone cannot rule the roost, because it can vary from context to context, place to place, time to time. So some common rules, some common parameters, some common denominators have to be evolved. This is where the Mimamsa Nyayas or maxims were slowly evolving. So they were slowly evolving. This is what Kumarila has said, that nahi ekaheva yetavantam yukti kalapam, because they are the result of evolutionary concept, so they must have evolved over the course of generations, and they must have been collected by so many people. And what we have, the Mimamsa Darsana, is the final compilation by Jaimini. So that becomes somewhat important one, and the present Jaiminian book, textbook, has got many important points. Say it has got 12 chapters. First 6 are called Upadesa Kanda, that is he enunciates. Next 6 are called Atidesa Kanda, they are applicatory. The applicatory things, pravritti, the purpose, Purushartha and Kratvartha, Adhikara, jurisdiction, these things are dealt with in the first 6 chapters, and the next 6 chapters deal with deals with Padasadutva, Nyaya deals with Dharmadharmi Bhava, that is property and matter, and Mimamsa deals with Uddesya Videya Bhava, etc. So Uddesya Videya Bhava means subject predicate, that is subject predicate, that is the predicate relationship. So the predicate relationship can be communicated only by sadhya, that is verbal communication. When it becomes a verbal communication, that has to be the fundamental category of what should be the fundamental category of the Mimamsakas? Siddha and Sadhya. So they classify the objects. Say Advaitins classify objects as Drik and Drishya. Everybody classify objects in their own way. So the Mimamsakas classify whole world into Siddha and Sadhya. That is things to be achieved and things that are existing. The existing things are for the sake of the things to be brought into existence. So what is to be communicated is what you have to do. So what you have to do is either imperative or optative. So it is only through such actions, do actions. That is, you have to do this like that. So that is called bhavana. We have to realize that particular result. That is called bhavana. That is being sought to be essentially communicated. So Mimamsa deals with that padlinglot let tavya pratya. This is what generally they say. All other things becomes attached to that. And when these bhavanas are communicated, bhavanas should be very simple. A verb that is an imperative verb can have only two things, a nominative case and an objective case. Only these two things. Other things make the verb a burdensome. So you add more and more burden to it. Burden means communication is difficult. So you try to reduce as minimum as possible. Say it is not artificially reducing it, but trying to reduce whether there are other elements, other verbal parts, whether they are able to communicate. So, say for example, let us take the word Udbida Ejeta Pashukamaha. There is a sacrifice called Udbit. We don't know, Udbit is not a common word. Udbit is not a common Sanskrit word. But now, the Veda says Udbida Ejeta Pashukamaha. One who is desirous of cattle wealth must perform or must realize it by performing Udbit sacrifice. Now what will you understand Udbit sacrifice? Udbit can be Udbid. If you analyze this etymologically, bit means breaking. So breaking out. Ud means up, breaking up. It can be vegetable. Because vegetables, when you sow the seeds soak and then they break up the earth and then they come up. So you perform with vegetables. Vegetables can be the instrument with which a sacrifice is performed. But now if you perform vegetables, sacrifice is not there. You have given the instrument. The sacrifice also has to be imagined. So Udbid Vada, that is, you have to imagine a sacrifice. Not only you have to imagine a sacrifice, you also have to take this instrument as the instrument for that sacrifice. So you are taking two things for it. And then cattle wealth also. So the verb takes three elements. But instead, if you take Udbit as a name, simply Udbit Namakena, by the sacrifice, you realize cattle wealth by Udbit. Then it becomes very simple. It can be attached to some other sacrifice which is already existing, and then you can complete it. So it is a simple construct, and verb also is very simple, without any problem. This is how you have to, they say, problemless parsimony. So this sort of problemless parsimony, and remember, those people, I come from very old days. I remember only my Wren and Martin now. I have not graduated over Wren and Martin. In the Wren and Martin, they may say parts of speech as 8, nouns, etc., etc. In Mimamsa, the parts of speech are 5. Vidhi, mantra, nishedha, arthavada. Vidhi means prescriptive sentences. Nishedha are same prescriptive sentences with negative element. Arthavada are eulogistic. And mantra are incantations. And unlike any other subject in the world, Mimamsa has added one more subject, Namadheya. Namadheya becomes very important characteristic in the parts of speech of Mimamsa, so that they can easily affect the parsimony. The fourth quarter of the first chapter deal with Namadheya Pada. Should we take it as a special instrument? As I said, Udbit, how to interpret Udbit. There are so many statements, how to interpret them. Hence they have made Namadheya as one of the important points. Now you can understand how parsimony, shorter, simpler versions, etc. become important in the Mimamsa tool of interpretation. Not only that, anarthakya, no word should be meaningless. Say now, Arthavada. Arthavada does not communicate any imperative. Imperatives are communicated only by ling, lot, late, that is optative suffixes. Arthavada will not contain eulogistic statement. And not only eulogistic statement, they will be explaining existing things. That being the case, should Arthavada be taken as part and parcel of Veda, or should they be taken as outside Veda? The Purvapakshin argues, Amnayasya kriyarthatvat anarthakyam atadarthanam. That is, since, remember, Veda is kriyartha. Kriyartha means Veda is basically to prescribe an action to be performed. Amnayasya kriyartatvat atadarthanam, those which do not prescribe an action, anarthakyam, they are meaningless. Tasmat anitya muchyate. They don't say part, they are not part and parcel of Veda, they don't expressly say. They say Veda is Shashvata, Nitya, so Arthavadas are Anitya, that is not parcel of Veda. So even not part of Veda, they say they are Anitya. So if they are part of Veda, it should be Nitya, it should be Kriya, but there is no Kriya, so it should be Anitya. Now what happens? He says, no part of Veda can be dealt with as Anitya. If you say a particular portion is not Veda or Anitya, what is the guarantee that the other portion is Veda? If one portion is not, the other portion also can be dealt with by the same logic is not. If one portion is unauthoritative, the other portion also may be unauthoritative. So, if you have to take a body of literature, you have to accept the entire body of literature. They say there is a proverb, Ardha Kukuti. That is, you cannot have a hen, half the hen I will prepare biryani and another half I will keep it for egg. Either you make entire hen with the biryani or entire hen for eggs. You cannot have one half this and one half that way like that. So if you take Veda, one half, that is what is called Nitya, and another half Anitya, like that you cannot do it. So you have to maintain entire Veda as Nitya, and if Kriyarthas are Nitya, Arthavada also should be Nitya. How can Arthavada be Nitya? They are tagged to Vidhis as eulogistic statements. Since Arthavadas are tagged to eulogistic statements, they become Nitya. So this is how we have to understand them. And how we understand it? Stutyarthena vidhinam sihu. So, Arthavadas are also becomes what is called Kriya Sesha. Vidhinatu ekavakyatvat. They become ekavakya. They become, see the concept, another concept, important concept in the Mīmāmsā tool is ekavakyata. Ekavakyata means, so far people have dealt with the words etc. are part and parcel. So now when Mīmāmsā people alone, they have come, all sentences are to be, say I cannot take all the points together and then discuss all those things. If you touch one after another, everything props up. So Ekavakyata means this is basically dealt with more in Alankara as well as in Vedanta. So if you go to Vedanta, especially Tattu Samanvayadikarana, there they discuss the Shadvida Tatparya Nirnayaka Linga, Upakramo Upasamharo, Abhyaso, Apurvata Palam, etc. What is the purport of a passage? So all the sentences have to be taken together, and the sentences have to be, the intention, the purport of the passage have to be decided. For that, the 6 characteristics mark. They are Vidhi, the Vidhi Shakti Pravritti. Vidhi is understood in 3 different ways. Apurva Vidhi, Niyama Vidhi, Parisankhya Vidhi. Apurva Vidhi means generative injunction. A fresh idea is communicated. That works more in the spiritual realm. In the practical realm, in the secular realm, or in the Dharma Shastra, in the legalistic literature, etc., all these generative injunctions don't play much role. Because all our also have divided Vidhi into 3, and there are other areas also. This is how Vidhis operate, and other areas of Vidhis are Utpatti Vidhi, Viniyoga Vidhi, Prayoga Vidhi and Adhikara Vidhi. Viniyoga Vidhi means accessory injunctions. Accessory injunctions becomes more important. Accessory, that literal construct is communicated by Shruti object. That alone will be there, one verb, but we are using it Aindri. What is who is to be invoked here? Whether Indra or Agni. So Aindri is the meaning of the word Indra. So if you go by meaning, it means establishment of Indra. That is prayer to Indra. If you go by literal construct, it means Agni. Should we go by meaning or should we go by literal construct? That is a problem here. And now, technically speaking, Shruti and Linga. Meaning means Linga. So what does Linga means? Linga means idea. Shruti means direct relationship between the suffixes of two words. So, should we take the direct relationship into account or should we take the idea into account? Now the problem is, even if you take the idea cannot be operative on its own. An idea is to be construed by us in the form of a construct. An idea can be applied only when you construct with what is called this sort of Uddesya Videya Bhava. Then alone it can be applicable. So, when there is a direct construct between fire and Agni, that becomes direct, that becomes straightforward, that becomes quick. But Indra being a meaning, you have to construe it, so it becomes secondary. So, 2 steps away. Why? It requires another help, that construct. Say for example, of Gangayam, if you simply use the word Gangayam, it means on the Ganges, on the floods. But only when the word Goshaha is juxtaposed, then Gangayam becomes problematic. Then, only with the help of the word Goshaha, Gangayam can be understood in the sense of a banks. Otherwise not. Same way, when idea is there, idea becomes construed only when you take another word into account. So, Shruti, Linga, Vakya, Prakarana, etc., they can be construed, they can be used only in that order. That is, preceding is powerful, succeeding is not that powerful. And another one, I am coming to legalistic literature. In the legalistic literature, what they expect is, Vadi and Pradivadi, both of them should be present simultaneously on the court. Both of them, they have to present the case. In the first appearance, they have to present the case and they have to argue the case. They cannot argue it through somebody else. Because whether they are aware of it and what is their demeanor. The judge has to be aware of their demeanor and their knowledge, etc., all those things. So, their intentions and all those things also to be aware of before coming into conclusion. So, in the secular and worldly domain, these things are also playing a role which does not play a role there. So, this sort of difference is very much there. I think to a certain extent I have presented what I have understood and what I am present in the limited time of about 45 minutes or so, and it can go on. Sometimes it may be boring also if you just go too much into it. Anything ati sarvatra varjayet. I think it is a time for me to stop here now. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Dr. Uma Krishnaswamy, the endowment maker, I request her to come and share a few words.
Namaskaram to all. This has been a bittersweet occasion for me. Sad because my father is not here to go through with this magnificent lecture that we've had from our speaker. But it has also been an extremely satisfying occasion because I have both Mr. Raghavan and Mrs. Raghavan here in loco parentis, if I may use that phrase. It is a great honor that Dr. Srinivasan has given such a magnificent lecture which has stimulated our thinking and hopefully it'll be applicable in present-day context of legal matters, etc., etc. So all I can say is I'm very grateful to this audience. Some of my relatives are here, some of my friends are here. I acknowledge the presence of the principal of Sanskrit College, and in this context I'd like to make it known to you that there is a similar endowment to Madras Sanskrit College to promote students in Mīmāmsā, and that is done in my mother's name, Mrs. Meenakshi Krishnaswamy. So with that, I have to say thank you very much indeed, and namaste. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for your words of encouragement to us. We shall definitely carry on with this endowment year after year. And now it is our pleasant duty to honor Dr. K. Srinivasan. I request our President, Dr. RKMVC sir, to give a token of appreciation on our part to Dr. K. Srinivasan. Now we request Dr. T.B. Vasudeva, my colleague, to propose a vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Kuppuswami Shastra Research Institute, it is my pleasant duty to propose vote of thanks. Usually, there will be the speaker, the present speaker of today's session. He used to supplement the ideas with the speaker's views. And now that I don't have anything to add to his speech, except 1 or 2 points, sir. This application of Mīmāmsā principles was given as a lecture by Judge B.N. Krishna also, long ago. And the applicability of Jaiminiya maxims, Jaiminiya Nyayanam Anyatra Sanchara Yogyata, that was written as an article by K. Balasubramanian Shastri in one of our journals. So the application of the Mīmāmsā principles is available even in judicial system also. So many things, the interpretation itself is there, how the case has to be decided by the judge. And the principles are laid down, as he has said, the Vidhi, Nimantrana and all these things. It is all because of the interpretation where we have the problem. And he has said Vidhi, Linga, Nimantrana, etc. There are other 3 points also, Akanksha, Yogyata, Sannidhi also. The expectation and the match worthiness and the context of all these words, etc. The propriety of expression, everything is mentioned there. And with all these things also, the interpretation, if that interpretation is made, then it will be original, it will be applicable to the context. The context is relevant, as he said. And he has given beautifully, his lecture was excellent. It's no need to say. We had his classes also on Mīmāmsā Paribhasha, where he was explaining everything. And it is Arthavada, and where the Arthavada says Adityo vai Yupaha. We cannot simply brush aside that Adityo vai Yupaha as an Arthavada statement, because Arthavada statement also holds good in some of the cases. So everything has to be taken into consideration. For all these things to decide the meaning of the Vedic mantras itself, the Mīmāmsā is essential. And therefore, with all these things, the meaning of the Vedic mantras can easily be understood, but only in the light of POORNA MīmāMSA principles. That is why the Mīmāmsā, Matu Micha Mīmāmsā is there. And he has said, Padavakya Pramana, and a person, usually we find in many of the colophons at the end of the manuscripts, the author used to say that Padavakya Pramana Vara, Paravarina, Dhurina, etc., etc. Means the author is well versed in all the 3 systems of philosophy, Nyaya and the POORNA MīmāMSA as well as the Vyakarana. So it is only when the master is there in the Vyakarana, Nyaya and Mīmāmsā, one will be able to bring out the gist or the meaning of the complete text that is given for interpretation. So naturally, Mīmāmsā is undoubtedly the tool for interpretation. And thank you very much, sir. I take this opportunity to thank our President, Dr. R.K. Raghavan, who has presided over this session and who has released the books. And I take this opportunity to thank Madam Dr. Uma Krishnaswamy also, who has made this endowment possible, and by whose endowment we are able to listen to this wonderful lecture. And I thank Dr. Vaishnavi Poorna for her release of the book. And I thank the Sri Venugopalan, Vidya Gopalan sir, the donor, for the publication of this book. I thank you all. I thank all the members, esteemed members here who have gathered here for listening to this lecture. Thank you one and all, sir. Thank you very much.